I was not going to go live today. I've got a million things to do. It's a Monday. But I stumbled across some information that was just so crazy that I had to come online and talk about a little bit. If you've been paying any attention at all to social media, you've seen that everybody and their brother has been trying to out Bobby, the robot cat of recaps with Bobby. Hey, Christoph Ann. Everybody has just been trying to make this happen. Hey, Robin, coming up with all kinds of things. Yesterday, there was a video by Mocking Media where they seemed to try and say that Claire was Bobby the cat, the robot cat, a mystery for our ages. But I don't think it's, you're so confused. So am I. Just under the troll. I feel better. Yeah. They finally stopped shooting antibiotics into my butt. Yesterday was the last one, so I'm better. But Bobby, they're going after him. I don't think it's Claire for a lot of reasons. Hey, Michelle, I would say it's not Claire at all. And I find it kind of odd that Mocking went with Claire Bear as the Bobby. Hey, Carmalou. Carmarlou, she went with, I always thought that Claire might be Mocking Media. At least they're very good friends at the very least. So everybody, hey Tracy, everyone is trying to figure out who Bobby is, who his programmer is. I started doing some digging last night and I made some startling discoveries about Mr. Bobby. God, my hair is all greasy and gross. And I can't lick it like Bobby can lick his fur and get it clean. I did not know who the critters who enjoy the mystery. Yeah, it could be, John. Could be they're all poking fun. But here's what I discovered. Bobby's been around for a long time in a lot of different forms. I have photographic evidence. Bobby bleached himself and posed for all kinds of cat things. He has bleached himself and he has been on every kind of cat thing you could mention. I've been walking around wearing Bobby. And clearly this is all a parody. Because last night just watching, and not just last night, but watching various people, including the Whitey McSwinies, trying to figure out who Bobby is ridiculous. I just have to say that it's ridiculous. And when people start accusing each other of being each other and sock puppets and Natalie, oh, well, that is pretty damn funny. His response is blowing it out of proportion a little bit. But at the same time, I can get that because as a creator, sometimes all it takes is one comment to make you lose your mind and go rant for hours. It's happened to me. It happened with the McSwineys the first time that he came after me hard, and I just kind of fell apart. And that's probably for me where I started pulling back from some other creators quite a bit, not completely, but quite a bit because I was hurt. I was busy hugging myself and trying to lick myself like the guy on Love After Lockup to put his elbow in a waffle he had next to him and was driving down the road licking his elbow. I think we've all been there. Oh, a picture of Bobby in Japan. I have orange pictures of Bobby hanging on one of my walls that I got in Germany. So Bobby has been everywhere. He's been every color. I'm okay with Bobby too. Christoph Ann, that happens. And I don't mind if you go after somebody with humor because there are always funny things about everything online, about other creators, about some of the stuff they. Now, I'm going to say something kind of crazy here for me. I'm not wild about some of the creators that go after Catherine. Why? Well, number one, when you go after Catherine, you're just making her more important. I know that I talk about her here sometimes, but I try to only talk about her when I have to make a point about something she's fomenting a falsehood about. not heard anything bad from him about you. Not cool, no reason to go after you. Who are you talking about, Ren? Bobby? McSwiney? I don't know. McSwiney tried to get his mods to agree to come here and kick my ass, so there's that. Karma Kid, it's a joke. It's a joke. I did it and showed my shirt that I like to wear, my big old shirt with what I was saying was bleached versions of Bobby, because it's all gray cats wearing glasses and bow ties and little caps. So my point is all the Bobby speculation that everybody's, well, not everybody, some people are doing is pretty ridiculous, and I think it should be treated like the joke that it is. Oh, did you? Amber, I'm trying to do my Costa Rican stuff. And it's kind of funny whenever Catherine's subs come in and tell me I have no content without her. That's BS. I could do Costa Rica every single day. So there's always weird things that I'm puzzling over here. And I'm taking a page out of Lawrence Brown's Memos Lost in the Pond with how I'm starting to compare the US and Costa Rica to talk about living here. We all love Bobby the Cat. I know that. Absolutely, John. I'm a big believer in that. If someone chooses to use an avatar and not out themselves to who they are, more power to them. I wish I could have done that from the beginning at No Longer Quivering, because I'm going to tell you, having your name out there on YouTube, on writing pieces, all kinds of different things, it's a little bit overwhelming. I actually write pieces under 4 or 5 different names now because I've learned don't use your real name because there are too many crazies out there. I started watching the scam bait guy. It's hilarious. Yes, Silver Goddess. He makes me laugh so hard when he does the scam baiting, when he shows them various things about themselves. They flip out, the scammers. Anytime you can mess with the scammers, it's the most fun you can have for free, I think. It's the biggest laughs you can have. So that's it. I just want to say it's ridiculous, everybody trying to go after Bobby. I got the impression that mocking was mocking everything that had been going on in the community and all the people saying who they were, trying to say so and so is so and so, that this fermented vegetable is this gemstone. I mean, just silly stuff. There will always be people who take everything extreme amount of topic. Yes, yes, yes. There always will be. But I think it's kind of ridiculous and not a big fan of it. One in chat. All these people, and it's saying one in chat. What a, I don't know, because YouTube has some screwy crap with how they do things. They've done that before too, and they've unsubbed people. They've unsubbed me from people's lives, and I don't like that. When I am in somebody's lives, I want to stay in somebody's lives. This tag is driving me crazy. Tagging my clothing. I'm because of the Marcel, I'm sensitive to tags of the clothing, the feeling of lotions, all kinds of weird ass things. And so I just want to come on here a little bit and just encourage everybody. Don't engage in all the sock puppetry accusations. I mean, we all know that Natalie has sock puppets galore. That's a given. Don't get excited about it. It happens. That's what sick people do. I love Bobby. I was hoping he would stay unbiased, but people get triggered. I mean, that's really what happens. John, they've done that to me too. I've had to go and look up and say, why am I not getting this person's updates? Why are they in the hospital? What happened? Did they die? Did they decide to leave YouTube? And oh, Tracy, I'm sorry you have those issues, because it's pretty crazy, because people are looking at you while you're scratching and going tag, 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 lotion, lotion, lotion. And it's okay if you're at home and you're by yourself or you're with your husband or other people that know you're weird. But when you're out in the general public and you start doing that stuff, people look at you like you're screaming 10 minutes to Wapner, like something's not 100% right with you. We all have some kind of bias. I don't think anyone can truly be unbiased, and that's okay. And Amber Chick, you're right about that. I think that there are biases in everybody. I think, though, the trick is to recognize your biases. If you can recognize that you're biased and why you're biased, that goes a long way. I almost fell out with one of my closest friends last year because of the George Floyd thing. Good morning, Sweet Bee. Her husband works at the medical examiner's office in one of the Florida cities. He's an expert in his field on fentanyl. They asked him to be an expert witness and to review some fentanyl type toxicology reports for the defense of Derek Chauvin. And when I heard that from her, I said, girl, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, commentary, it's hard to be unbiased. So I kept telling my friend, you can't let your husband testify for Chauvin. I don't care if you agree with him or don't agree with him. She gave me a lot of flap about how George Floyd was so high that he would have died anyway. And I was talking to her and said, he may have died anyway. He may have been so high that he would die anyway. Tracy, it is the best when you're going into surgery. He may have died anyway, but the thing is, if he died a lot quicker because there was somebody kneeling on his neck. So that doesn't make that right. Two wrongs never make a right. So we actually stopped talking during the whole trial because I started getting more and more agitated. I kept telling her, if he testifies, you can expect Black Lives Matter and other people to show up on your doorstep. I mean, even if you feel that way about what he's saying, he didn't die from the drugs. He would have died eventually from the drugs. But Chauvin hastened his demise by quite a bit. So anyway, long story short, we didn't talk anymore about it, and they didn't call her husband at all because it was pretty obvious it was pointless at that point. So they didn't call him. We all move on. I start talking to her again. We managed to get over our little flap over her husband potentially testifying in that murder trial. Well, I don't know, Tracy. I wasn't there, but I watched it and cried. I'm just going to tell you that for me to watch him dying. Anyway, long story short, I started talking to her again after this. We agreed that our friendship was more important than that. Back in late July, I was on vacation at my daughter's house, and she started PMing me like mad. He might have had a tolerance, things that we don't know about the whole situation at all. He could have had a tolerance. It could have been so many things. And you're right too, Tracy. It really was in God's hands. But I think that what the police officer did was wrong. I mean, it was just vanilla wrong, whether it killed him or not. So we finally got past that as our friendship. And she started calling me in July, and I was in the States, and she was flipping out. They had just released all the trial records to the public, including the list of the people who were called but did not ever give any kind of testimony, but were on the testimony list. Yeah, we all have our opinions, Bliss Chris, and I'm leaning towards Chauvin took him out too early. Anyway, long story short, we started talking. She called me in July flipping out because they'd released the trial records, and her husband were swatted, to put it mildly. They were swatted by the side of the road. Somebody called the police and said they were in their hotel room cooking meth. and gave some pretty good descriptions and said where they were, what hotel room. Somebody had been tracking them and they figured out this. Well, my friend, like me, has all kinds of problems with her health, similar problems we have. And she was telling me the police had her by the side of the road in the hot sun for positively hours and hours. They had her in the hot sun sitting out there in Florida in July, South Florida in July, sitting under a tree for 5 hours while they tore everything about them apart, just tore it apart, looking for drugs, looking for drug paraphernalia, looking for whatever. They didn't find anything. Tracy, I hear that. They didn't find anything, but they shook my friend's world. They had to hire a defense attorney because they found an old vial from when he worked at a lab in Michigan in the car that was completely empty, that he once had one of his prescription meds for, I think it was restless leg syndrome, maybe. There was such a trace amount in there. And then they called, yeah, it's intolerably unbearable if you're not used to it. You have all this health problems. So they didn't charge her husband, but they told the press that her husband had been caught with drugs, and they didn't quantify that it was just like a minute residue in a 15-year-old vial. So they drugged them. Hey, starting that up. They drugged them through the South Florida press, just very ugly. My friend ended up spending about $10,000 to defend her husband against this, and it was just pretty crazy. And she was traumatized, PTSD, complex PTSD galore, her and her husband. Her husband was put on suspension from his job, the whole 9 yards. And eventually they had to admit there was nothing. There was nothing. And they gave him his job back. And things just continued on. Why? Because apparently the lab and the ME's office had started to fall apart without him. They were so short-handed on people. And in the process, they traumatized all my friends, and they forced them to spend a huge amount of money. So what I want to say is the entire justice system is broken, crazy broken in the States. And did the local media take back much of what they said? No. So they're still dealing with that. Yeah, I don't care to see who he is too. I like the mystery too. Angel, you missed it. At the top of I showed my shirt, my old shirt that I've had that I haven't worn in a while, that has light gray cats on it. And I claimed that Bobby was channeling this, that Bobby had been posing with lightened fur for pictures, and that was the big secret of Bobby. I like Bobby. I like Toradol better. Non-narcotic and kicks pain's butt. Tracy, I have issues with pain, and my friend I'm talking about has issues with pain big time. She also, like me, has issues with oxygen. And let me dig in my drug box. Yeah. You know that you have chronic ailments when you have a giant box that has all your prescriptions and all of your gadgets that you need to keep your health going well. Oh, I have cats, most definitely. I have more than a couple of cats, Angel. Let me tell you the story of my cats. I have one official cat, one that I got from a vet after Hurricane Nate, because he was trapped as a feral with his mama when he was like 7 or 8 weeks old during Hurricane Nathan. Only one of 2 hurricanes ever hit Costa Rica, and I happened to be here for it, and I happened to be trying to get to the airport that day, and it was hell. It was a crazy, I have to tell you about it sometime, but it was a crazy journey that took sleeping over the night in 2 airports, a bus, running through water up to my knees, my suitcase on my head. I mean, crazy stuff happening. So I got the one cat that way because we got back and said, we've never not had a cat in our marriage. Let's get a cat. Oh, never have problems with mice, but we got our one cat and we adore him. He's Stinky. Well, we moved here 4 years ago, almost exactly. We bought this house 4 years ago and moved in, and the house has been a work in progress. We're in a weird little triangular neighborhood across the main highway from the only house of ill repute in our area. So I sometimes hear the noise and can go down and look at their gate over the over the fence, which is another experience I could talk about sometime. Well, anyway, long story short, this neighborhood is a mixed bag, and that's fine. I did not want to live in an American gated community where all the houses were identical and everybody was like, and you're paying $500 or $600 a month for your HOA. I didn't want that. So we're living in a local kind of place that's a mixed community. It's a mixed bag. The people across the street, they have a big, nice house. They're Tico. There's a vacant lot there, which we're thinking about buying. There's a vacant lot here and here behind us. We're thinking about buying those too. There's a big house right behind us that some people in America live in. Next door to us is some Nicaraguans that have modest homes. Next door to them is an Argentinian that has a huge pool like ours. So it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed neighborhood. And I'm fine with that. But the problem is we are bordering a big farm and a giant kind of, I want to say urban area because it's like houses all crammed together and stores. So that's about a half mile away. So there's a huge feral cat population in this area. Huge. Yeah, HOA fees here are ridiculous. It's like, hello, gringo, you're going to pay a lot of money to stay safe. So we started feeding the feral cat population because they started coming around. And I started seeing all of these skinny, falling apart little cats. And I've had cats for years. I have done fostering cats, cat trapping, the whole 9 yards a bunch of times in my life. And so I'm all about cats. So we started feeding them. We started getting the big Costco bag, like 20-pound bags of cat food, dry cat food. And we have a feeding station. And I'm thinking about putting a motion activated camera on it. So I feed them. About stupid zoning laws. There aren't any of that here. No zoning laws, except if you live in an HOA and they have these crazy HOA laws. So we don't have that here. And we started getting all kinds of cats. I have crazy nicknames for all of them because you see these different ones. My second cat, Pork, and I called her Pork because she would show up with this other cat and they were always side by side and I would see them. Silver Goddess, yep, there are a lot of them. There are also like some celebrities that live here too, full time even. So they would come up, they come walking up side by side. And my friend I was talking about earlier, I was like, I don't know what to call these two. And she said, Pork and Beans are together all the time. So it was like Pork and Beans, Pork and Beans. Well, what happened was 6 months later, Pork decided she lived on our porch. She lived there 6 months, then she moved in the house, and now she lives in the house. That's been a year now. So she's very sweet, very tame, fixed. She was somebody's pet once upon a time, and they threw her away. So there is that. I'm trying my damnedest just to feed the cats and see who is doing what. And here's the crazy thing. The other day, Beans let me pet her. Beans came in the house and let me pet her. So Pork and Beans are pretty tame now. Everybody else is various degrees of skittishness still to this day, even though they now don't run when we come out. They know that we fill the cat food, we fill the water dispenser. And we have like little skunks and possums that come into the cat food dispenser too in the middle of the night. And sometimes birds will come take cat food. So it's pretty crazy. Well, I don't know if it's spread of land, Angel. We're sitting on about an acre and it's surrounded by a 12-foot high concrete wall. That is the most necessary accessory here that you can have if you're living not in a gringo neighborhood. I'm starting to work with the girl I adopted my two cats from. Yeah, I do the neuter. I do the spay neuter grab up too because I don't want these guys making more kittens, and there are some that have. Uh, Tracy, that would be nice to have that kind of spread to do that with. I have a mere acre here, so I can't have unlimited cats, unfortunately. But I can feed the ferals. And it's funny because the ones that are pets, I sometimes see those too. They come visit, so I'm not upset with that. I like cats. So does my husband. We're cat people. And there aren't many cat rescues here. There are a few. Almost every vet I know will do the spay neuters of the colonies very cheaply, if not for free. My two foster kitties I had them over a year and they wanted them back. You had to adopt them even though they supplied anything. Not a good rescue. Christoph, and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes people are like that with this stuff. So how could I ever take after Bobby? I love cats. I love the mystique of them. We are total animal people. Tracy, yes. Bob Barker, and every day, Monday through Friday, would tell me to spay and neuter your animals. Bliss, he sure did, and that is a good message. And it's kind of funny. My husband's father was a veterinarian professor for many, many years. He wanted to escape the farm when he was a kid. He escaped the farm by becoming a veterinarian and not doing large animal, but mostly smaller animal. But then he started teaching. He became a veterinarian professor. He would teach it. He taught for years. He was a dean of veterinary medicine at LSU, where he taught for some years. He started the vet school there. He was one of the original founders of the vet school. And he taught in St. Kitts. He'd go over to Russia and all over places and attend these different things and teach and various things. I miss Cha Cha Charlie for that reason because he was always he always had interesting things to say about animals. He knew that we were crazy animal lovers, that we loved cats. I love exotic birds. I've always had parrots until I moved here. Yeah, all of my animals are rescued. They make the best pets. They most certainly do, Bliss. My mom used to feed the barn cats. They would run to meet her and at night would hang out on the porch. Ah, wow, Tracy. We have a guy here that does them for about $5 each. And I always say I can kick up that much. That's not. And Silver, that's fine. My daughter is a dog person, and I never was around cats. I mean, dogs that much until she ended up with her fiance. And he is a dog person. He has a dog. He has a Labrador pit bull mix who's the sweetest dog on the planet, who has decided that I'm a dog person. The dog has now. It's kind of funny. The last time we visited our daughter, we were sleeping in a bed in the spare bedroom, and we'd arrived way after the dog had gone to bed. And we're laying in bed, and this 70-pound dog crawls in the bed, gets under the covers, crawls up, gets between the two of us, and starts licking us in the face. We're sleeping. Her dog is pretty awesome. I've got to say that. She's an awesome girl. Bliss, I'm starting to think about that too because there's so much need here. Here, there are not, in the States, there are shelters that will go pick up stray animals and sadly enough, put them to sleep most of the time. There's nothing like that here. They don't have the money to have an actual animal kind of shelter, which is probably good if they're putting animals to sleep. So Costa Rica is run most rescues here run almost entirely by gringos that have showed up and decided to tackle the feral animal problem here. So there's a lot of that going on. Oh, your dad didn't want a dog. Oh. And I've thought about getting a dog here. We have a huge dog run. There's a dog house. There's all of that. I'm set up. Same in Kuwait. They don't have shelters. There's a lady there that does daily stops to rescue cats, kittens. We'll just dump. And that blows my mind when people just dump things. So far, I've got to say I'm lucky. I've never seen anybody dump kittens here. It's a good thing because if I did, I would be flipping out and grabbing the kittens to take care of them because that's just awful. Dogs are such a different vibe. Sorry, I'm putting my thing back. Such a different vibe than cats. Dogs are just very friendly and very out there and all that. And it's kind of funny because I've spent time at my daughter's house alone with the dog when they've needed somebody to babysit the dog when they went on vacation. And I'm out walking her around the neighborhood. She gets cranky with me. She got real cranky with me that week because I was a whole lot less, I guess, active than the kids were with her. So every day she started pouting that they were gone, and it was kind of funny. I get along with her, but she loves me, but she was ready for her mama and her daddy to come back, most definitely after that. Oh. Oh gosh, the day you had to put your cat down. That's tough. Cats match my moods better too, Bliss. That's why I love them. I think like dogs are extroverts and cats are introverts. That's a really good explanation of cats and dogs because Kifa, my daughter's dog, is definitely the extrovert. And it's like, you are gonna love me regardless of what I do. And my cat is more like, you will love me when I feel like you loving me. And I'm fine with that. Woodrow Wilson Bridge, yes. Been on there a number of times. Oh gosh. That is terrible, Angel. That's awful. I've seen some crazy things like that in the DC area on the various things. And people have tossed their animals out. I love my fur babies too, Silver Goddess. Even the ones that won't let me pet them. Even the ones. And it was kind of interesting. One year we had construction behind our house in Virginia because, as you know, in the DC area, there is construction everywhere. And a possum got chased out of the construction site and ended up in our backyard. And I kept seeing her and thinking, well, that's kind of weird. All 6 of her babies ended up in the house and they became tame. The cats tried to chase them and they would climb up us to get away from the cats. I finally had to relocate them because they had the nasty habit of pooping and being everywhere. And I could not handle that. But they were so cute when we had them there. So absolutely adorable. And I don't know if you can litter box train a possum. Maybe, because I see people have them. I see it all the time on YouTube, people showing off their possums and stuff. Oh, your spirit animal's a unicorn. At least you know that. I've said a couple times lately that Judy Gemstone is my spirit animal because I just enjoy her so much. She says all the crap that I would like to say half the time, and she's just out there. And I don't have the best filter anymore since having 2 strokes. My filter is kind of broken, which is why I'm here on YouTube. I just saw 2 fox out back the other day, and I don't live in the country. They do come in the urban areas to get away from the coyotes. I've seen that too. They are cute. They're adorable. So most wild animals I absolutely adore. There are only a few that I don't love. And living here has been good for that because I've been able to see quite a few exotic animals, including toucans and all sorts of things. Big parrots. I was here the day in Tamarindo that they released the parrots that they were breeding to restart the scarlet macaw population in the area, and they released them, and that was fabulous to see. I've seen scarlet macaws here. I've even seen a flock of blue macaws where the maps by the wildlife people here and the maps by the people involved with the John J. Audubon Society say there aren't. There is a huge, huge, huge pile of blue macaws living in a little area by the Taco Bell on where Route 18 hits Route 1 here. You can stop at the Taco Bell, the Burger King, whatever fast foods they have there, because they have like 3 or 4 of them at this little plaza. They're in the trees right behind there. You can sit at the picnic tables and look up, and there they are, just laughing and making noise. I can't do snakes, Bliss. Iguanas, I'm fine with. I'm fine with most lizards. Bliss, they have iguanas there. So you're going to see quite a few of them because iguanas are obnoxious. They're very obnoxious here. They get into everything. The only wild animal I've seen here that I really had a problem with was a tarantula. And I don't mean he was a little one. I mean he was like big, like hand size. And it was during Hurricane Nathan. We had to open all the doors and windows of our rental house because it was incredibly hot and it was just raining up a storm. So we opened everything up. Houses here do not have screens on the windows, so you don't have a sliding screen door for your doors either. So I had everything opened up. It was after dark. You couldn't get candles. You couldn't get anything. So I had bought a block of lard and had turned that into an old lamp. You can just use a button and a piece of fabric and some thread and turn a block of lard into a lamp if you have to. So that was all we had. I was walking around with it, and I saw what looked like a black sock on the ground. I bent down to pick it up and saw it was a tarantula and screamed so loud. Eventually, I got over my fear. I got my dustpan, my broom, and I encouraged the tarantula to get in the dustpan, and I gave it a nice little ride outside to sit on our covered deck. And it didn't come back in. I realized it was afraid of me as I was a bit, so it was all good. It just took forever. So anyway, if you're just getting here late, I made a joke. This was a joking stream, a mock stream, a parody stream. I was complaining that Bobby was bleaching himself and posing for pictures and making all these different things, that he'd been around forever making pictures, just because I'm just getting kind of sick and tired of everybody fighting and making all these accusations of this one is this one and this one is that one. The only people I ever believe that of now is Natalie and Julie Gagne. Those two I know for a fact have popped up as different people, and that's okay. They can pop up as different people. We just have to be cautious of that. I don't see everybody else doing it. I've never been a sock puppet, but I would think it would be really hard to keep that straight. Bobby's hog hat is great. Yes, absolutely it is. And I laugh every time I see a video of him riding a hog, a dead hog with X's over its eyes. It just makes me laugh every time. With a little pink bow on the hog. It's just too funny. Some people just walk right into it and they become things that you can parody so much that you're just like, oh my goodness. Did you not just walk into that and give me all the material I need to make fun of you? I've seen that quite a bit in our communities too, and that's kind of unfortunate, but it kind of is what it is too. Never heard of them chasing down kids. They've gotten in people's dogs. Oh, yes. I've heard some things about that too. Generally, I have the same issue. And the thing is, I have a pile of email accounts, but all of them are connected to different projects I've worked on. One of them is connected to all my writing stuff. I mean, so I have a hard enough time remembering all the passwords for those. And some of them I have are when I used to do active scam baiting. I had a pile of crazy Gmail accounts, we all did, specifically to mess with scammers. One of the ones that I used to have was Sir Ivan Preston Freely, Sir IP Freely. I had one that was Sister Suzanne fleeced them. When she phonetically spelled out the name, that's what it was. So remembering passwords is a bitch. I have a password book, but I don't always update it like I'm supposed to. And sometimes I find myself going, So the main stuff I use, I've got two-part authentication on, and the pile of scammer ones is like, well, if I remember the password, I go in. I'm 100% here as I am on Twitter, as in DM. Same here. I don't change from platform to platform like some. Same. So everyone that blocked me in the past week blocked me on here because I ain't changing. Bliss, that's me. Same deal. Like I said, I only have different ones for different professional things, and I have one for my family. And I only opened those because my main email box was getting thousands upon thousands of emails every day, and it still does. And it's kind of bad because people will email me wanting to send me a tip or ask me about something, and I'm kind of like, I didn't see it. I get 1,000 plus every day in that box. So people will tell me different things. Digitally, that's fine. You can be two different accounts, but I'm just one because I can't handle or remember anything else. So people will tell me they sent me emails. I'll have to go chase them out of the spam filter sometimes. Yeah, same thing. Bliss for me and Facebook. Facebook is good friends and family. That's it. I and some NLQ things, but mostly friends and family. And I've done that specifically because I have to have, if I had all my Facebook friends, my Twitter friends on Facebook, it'd be crazy. I had a corporate job once where you had to have a different password for every system and had to change it every month. Couldn't use a password in 12 months. It was awful. John, I had a place where I worked for that was like that too. And that email that went around, that joke, I don't know if you saw the one about making a password, and somebody put together, like they tried to make a password. Make a password with 8 characters. This is my password. Make an email. I'll make it a password with 9 characters, 1 number. So they switched to 51 cabbages. Said, must add a symbol. So then they started doing 51 effing cabbages with slashes in between them. And they said, password taken. So it went on and went on and went on and went on. John, I had to do something similar with my husband because for a while there he was using password for everything, and I was like, dude, you're just asking somebody to hack you and take all your money and take everything, take your emails. Yeah, I'm not sure. So we changed his passwords, and then we changed them up on regular because he just can't remember. So now we have something we do that he can remember, and we just keep changing it up for him and all of that and putting it in my password book. Brenda Lee, I hear you on that because 10 years ago, I still had some slightly fundamentalist thoughts still. So some of my Facebook posts from 11, 12 years ago were a little still on the cray-cray side. So I don't need anybody. Here's what's funny is I do have some Facebook friends that I know are, let's just say not friends, watching me because of whatever. And for April's Fool, my husband posted this thing of himself with one of his favorite singer musicians in the area. And he posted a thing about being her manager and how she was going to make millions of dollars and he was going to be spending her money and helping her live. And the people that hate watch me on Facebook immediately said, oh, your husband's cheating. It's like, It's an April Fool's joke, number one. Number two, if he was cheating, it'd be the world's easiest thing to find out because the man has no social media skills, no technical skills, and I am tech support, and I would see it in a heartbeat. So I kind of laughed over it. Oh, Brenda Lee, you have to tell me what your, well, I don't know how you would do that unless you email me your YouTube name, and I would your Twitter name, and I would go ahead and unblock you because I block people when they start saying when other people start saying that's Nat, that's Nat. Sometimes we'll do that. I worked in a casino vault for 20 years. Password change every 3 months. I'm surprised I didn't change it more often than that because I worked at an insurance agency for a short time. They made us change up our password every 30 days. I hated it. I don't even post on my Facebook. I post pictures on my Instagram and have it auto post to Facebook. I can't believe KJ hasn't tried to cover one of the most dangerous cults in America ever was. A TV show about a cult. Colleen, which one is it? Because she did try to cover one, and I was flipping out. Tina, I'll cut you, could tell you I was personally flipping out, and I didn't have internet that week. So my flipping out was kind of unusual. I usually don't flip out like that about what KJ is covering. But the cult she was covering then, that week, was one that is scary. I'm just going to tell you, those members are very scary. Some of them are in prison right now. Some of them aren't. I've had social work interaction with them. That's what I'll say. I don't want to out the story because I don't want them coming after me again. One point I helped out with a social work situation, and the police put us on a bus and brought us into the community. They brought us out. The police protected our hotel rooms. It was a serious, crazy situation. And I had the opportunity to go back in that community and do some outreach. Maybe 6 years later, it's just, yeah, it's just pretty nuts. Yeah, let me go ahead and post my email again. Like I said, if I know you're going to email me, I will look for it because I have so many things that come into that box. That's my public box. So I think that we're probably all word of faith. That wasn't what I was talking about. I was actually talking about the FLDS, because she started trying to cover them and then she backed off. And I think it was probably from the death threats because they give some scary death threats. I'm just going to come right out and say it. Word of Faith is another one that I've not covered them. I've looked into them before. They are pretty out there, but I don't have as much knowledge of them as I should. Yep, I hear you. And we know how much Without a Box of Kleenex has tried to talk to Leah Remini and how failure that is for her. Oh, they are very dangerous. I'm going to have to take a look and see what they are. And because it's been so long since I looked at them, I couldn't really see. I was just flipping out when KJ took the first steps towards covering the FLDS. I don't want to say FDLS, but because they can be so super scary. Death threats. And Word of Faith, I'm going to have to look them up. And the sad thing is, these aren't even the two worst, the two only bad death threat kind of cults out there. I consider the FIBS, not IBS, what am I saying? And I haven't even taken my drugs for today, and I'm fumbling with words. I consider Stephen Anderson, and the fundamentalist independent Baptists to be the C word, the C.u.l.t. So much work to jot down. Yeah, it would be. It's work. That's why I don't even use those old boxes anymore that have to do with that stupid. Ah, ha, ha. Bliss, I hear that. Recently, I had iced tea from Law and Order SVU, like my tweets, a couple of them, and I was fangirling my ass off, even though he's not somebody that I would consider, I don't know, somebody I don't have anything to do with for work. But anyway, I was fangirling my ass off, so I get it. Last night, we went to this bar here in town called the El Vaquero. They always have a band on Sundays. It's usually a friend of ours is up there. Every Sunday we go and we see the guy who played Mike on Breaking Bad because he lives in Tamarindo. Sometimes we see Justin Trudeau and others. And I don't run up and go, "Oh my God, you're so and so," because that's kind of rude when somebody's just sitting there enjoying a beer and relaxing. So, but I do stare a little bit. I'm guilty of that. A&E was so scared of them, they canceled a documentary they were planning on airing. They did that too with Bob Larson, the guy who does all the exorcisms that I'm very familiar with. They did that. You just you have to do that sometimes. You gotta, yeah. Yeah, my husband isn't either, because every time I tell him about the crazy that's going on in our community, even, he's like, "Why are you so involved with the online community?" I'm like, "Well, COVID, working online, COVID, writing." So he says all that, and I'm like, it is what it is. Well, gingerly, there are crocodiles where he's surfing at. So he may actually end up in a bad place. When he is running around shirtless, it's hard for me not to look, gingerly, no matter how horrible you may have been. You may have been to your country. He is a handsome drink of water. That's all I'm going to say. Takes his shirt off, he's double handsome. um, the guy who plays Mike, poor thing. I just have to say this. He's an older gentleman named Jonathan Banks, and I don't think his health is super well. Just things that have said in town, and just looking at him, um, I don't think that Jonathan Banks is the most well man on the planet. He just isn't. And the first time I saw him in Tamarindo was right before the pandemic hit. Was coming out of Eat at Joe's Witch's Rock, and there he was coming in. And I'm looking at him, going, he looks a lot like Mike Ehrmantraut. And it was just one of those things that quickly walked past you. And then I kept seeing him everywhere. I still see him everywhere. Walking to the Automocado, there he is. Walk into this, there he is. And he doesn't actually live in Tamarindo. He lives in one of the gated American communities run by one of the big hotel chains where they have houses galore. And it's gorgeous. And it's a small community outside of Tamarindo. We looked at houses there, but the HOA fees were like a house note, so it was like, no, sorry. And so now you hear me squealing over the few celebrities I see, and that's it. So far, I haven't run up and said, "Hey, are you Mike?" But my husband did one time, and he just said, "No, man, I just look like him," which just made me laugh so hard. So I'm gonna wrap this up for people just coming in now. There is no secret identity to Bobby the cat. I was playing a joke, a bad joke, using my favorite T-shirt that I haven't worn in a while. That's full of gray cats. I was saying that Bobby was bleaching himself to be a gray cat and be an orange cat and do all these cat pictures because everybody is trying their damnedest to see who Bobby is. I don't know who Bobby is, but everybody have a great day. And does it really matter? And let's try not to accuse each other of being soft puppets because it's gotten kind of silly. It's gotten ridiculously silly again. Love you guys.